Welcome to the Block Exploring podcast, your first step into the world of crypto and blockchain. The Block Exploring podcast is your one-stop place to find quick, clear, and unbiased information on everything in the crypto space. Our goal is to help you grow familiar with the crypto space by growing along with us as we go on our crypto journeys. Follow at Block Exploring on Twitter for our newest uploads and our publishing schedule. We, here at Block Exploring, are crypto enthusiasts working hard towards becoming experts. Today's podcast is presented by co-hosts Tommy and Elias. Find us on Twitter under @SabaiSquared and @OtokoCrypto. Right now you can find us on Spotify and YouTube. Before we start the episode, we would like to inform you that we are not financial advisors. Therefore, nothing said in this podcast should be considered financial advice. Always contact your financial advisor before making any investment. With that said, sit back and enjoy today's podcast. What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 19 of the Block Exploring podcast. Here with me is Tommy, and we're going to talk to you about the state of the market, the news, latest in tech, and of course, regulation. So, this week in crypto, I think there was a big bullish sentiment on the market. I'm guessing it's the result of, the consequences of EIP 1559, and of course, a steep increase in discussion on crypto regulation, cryptocurrencies in general in mainstream media, which has definitely spiked over the last while. The word Bitcoin, if you look at on Google Trends, you see like a massive uprising.
Definitely. Yeah, EIP 159's been huge. I mean, just for the crypto space, and I mean specifically for ETH, of course. Like ETH has been on a massive run up because of EIP 1559, but it's not just ETH at the moment. I think like loads. I mean, even Bitcoin has been over 40k USD, which is like has been a huge resistance point. I mean, not 40. The 40 mark isn't the resistance point, but it's been a hurdle to get over that point. But so there's like an overall bullish sentiment in the market right now, and I think people are gearing up for an altcoin season, which is pretty exciting, especially for people who have big bags who bought at the top, and maybe they're gonna try break even. But what's interesting is that this bullish sentiment has not taken a dent from this shambles of a well, the crypto end of it at least is a shambles, is a madness, which speaks to I think the ridiculousness of the crypto regulation that they want to impose in that bill.
Yeah, that's true. I think the way that they propose crypto will be taxed as well it's very, I don't know, it's very skewed. Like technically the taxes are not going up, but tax evasion is going to be combated. That's okay. But then the way crypto gets treated is quite similar to like gambling gets treated, or like winning the lottery gets treated. It's very, I don't know. And also it's very hard to really like execute, because the proposal said like, cryptocurrency brokers, in case the transaction is more than 10K, it needs to be reported. Well, a token of yesterday can be worth 10K, like
exactly.
You never know.
And it's to me it just seems like an overall ill-informed bill. I'm not the whole bill necessarily. I didn't read the whole bill. It's a huge bill, but in terms of the cryptocurrency aspects of those bills, I think it's really telling of how regulators in the United States are quite ill-informed about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology in general, especially when it comes to provisions that denote certain service providers in crypto as brokers.
Yes.
Which is just doesn't make sense. By this bill, MetaMask would be considered a broker, and then they would need to provide KYC, which is, as crypto natives, we know this is just impossible. It doesn't make sense. Like, this is not, a lot of these service providers and such who will then be classed as like brokers, like Ledger would be classed as a broker, for example. I mean, what what I mean, we as crypto natives know that this is just not like it doesn't make sense. Like if you knew about crypto and how
Mm-hmm.
blockchain technology worked, this is not the bill, or these are not the regulations that you come out with, and we always talk about on this podcast, like we need a lot more advocacy about, an education about cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, so this doesn't happen, because we want good regulation. It's not like we don't want regulation, because it's ridiculous, those people who are always like, all regulation, oh my god, this
Yeah.
is bearish. But we do want good regulation. But then that's why we need to up our educate, because I mean, this is what you get when the average, I don't know, age in Congress
Mm-hmm.
is 65, and these
Yeah.
people don't know anything about crypto and block. And I mean, they don't care to even
I
learn,
think,
which is
yeah.
what's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that of course, they're all old, but like old people have learned over,
Of course,
like
yeah, and there
they
are
still
some
have the
Congress
capacity
people.
to read up. And
Yeah, yeah,
there are some senators who are
exactly.
very astute in crypto. But the thing that especially is bothersome here is like we've been saying, like, I don't know, there's not a single episode of the Block Exploring podcast where we don't say that regulation is like salvation,
Yeah, yeah,
but this bill proposes more issues in
exactly.
effect than solutions,
Hmm.
because like 1099B forms, they're like super old.
Yeah.
They've been around forever, and they still are based on the concept of um, non-employment related income.
Mhm.
So like very like like, oh, you go to the stock exchange, you get your stock, and you sell the stock, and it's called a W2 capital gains, so like
Mhm.
equities and stock trading.
Right.
That's what they're trying to do, and in those situations there is always a centralized broker,
Mhm.
an exchange, something like that.
Yeah.
If you go on something like Uniswap,
Yeah.
who's gonna who's gonna
Ooh.
broker for you?
Yeah.
Everyone going to fill in this form? There's
Exactly.
clearly no conception of the decentralized nature
Hmm.
of crypto,
Yep.
and it's being approached mainly facing, I think, larger companies like Kraken, Coinbase,
Hmm.
Binance. That's where they're trying to crack down on,
Okay.
because those are the easiest access points for those who want to
Right.
exchange their fiat currency into cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
The crypto natives, they're a lost cause for regulation with this perspective. Like
Hmm.
they just go to a DEX, they
Yeah.
trade their tokens there, they put it in staking, all these W2 capital gains, but no one will ever be
I
able
know.
to report the, you know?
It's just, I mean, like the ramifications of this bill, like if it does pass, or is it passed?
Yeah,
Is it
yeah.
passed or yeah? It's it's ridiculous, because when they'll just find out, when they go to regulate this, it's gonna, yep, we gotta run this back. We gotta run this back, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what I mean, we just need to think about the consequences of this bill passing. Like, it's more likely to drive people to be doing things that they don't want to do, they don't want them to do, right?
Yeah.
It's just going to drive people to decentralized exchanges. It's going to make people just want to hold their cryptocurrency more so. And
Mm-hmm.
they're just going to find ways to circumvent this uh this regulation that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
This, so I think I mean, the whole reason why it's not it hasn't made a dent in the crypto, in the crypto markets. It's not reflected in the prices of Bitcoin, ETH, or any of these things, because there's so much bullish, stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
This bill that doesn't make sense. See, if it was a bill that, like, was like bearish but made sense in some way,
Yeah.
like that, like you knew that this was mindful of, like, and of crypto and blockchain
Yeah.
technology and how it works, then you know then
Yeah.
maybe it would obviously, I think it would reflect more so, but a bill that people know is going to be near impossible impossible in many cases to enforce. It's just like, okay. Okay. you know
Yeah. No, but definitely, but like, the days before the measures passed,
Mhm.
you saw that like there were a bunch of senators trying to make exceptions in the bill,
Mhm.
like amendments, to mainly facilitate every single thing in the crypto space that doesn't fall under this centralized exchange idea
Mhm.
with the broker and all that,
Yeah.
and especially like proof of work systems because well, we were talking about this yesterday,
Yeah.
because you can't say, oh, this miner, you know,
Mhm.
got a capital gain. He literally just mined the crypto.
Exactly.
There was no broker info.
Mhm.
Is the code
Yeah.
the broker? Like it's very like it shows a lack of understanding, and it doesn't seem to apply to it because there is no active participant in the brokerage
Mhm.
on like the giving side,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
So it's very hard to see, but it yeah, big shout out to the senators that tried
Shout
to
outs to you guys.
yeah
You guys are up against a lot. You know,
yeah
it's yeah, it's tough. I mean, I envy their position because it's like I don't know. I bet it's like trying to talk to a wall in many cases because a lot of a lot of these regulators are very much stuck in the tradfi old ways of doing things,
hmm
and they're probably wondering like, oh, but what if this exchange decentralized exchange needs a bailout, you know
yeah.
but that's not a thing in
That's not
crypto
a
world.
thing, no.
If your code fails, you move on. That's what DeFi degens get it, bro. They're just gonna move on, bro. Take the L and move on. But like, it's just that thought, like it's just this old way of thinking, and like, just in a, But that's what's crazy because I've met bankers who are like very pro crypto and they actually get it. They get how it's gonna change things in their banking, and it's like, and they're positive about it. And but then
hmm
a banker which DeFi will probably wreck most banks in the future. So we'll see about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's yeah, they're dinosaurs, but so things hopefully will change. Especially as time goes on, where there are much more crypto friendly, crypto minded individuals who will eventually take office, and it's not like all these
hmm
oldies, goldies, oldie goldies are anti crypto, but it just seems like they don't get it right now. A lot of them don't
Yeah.
get it right now.
Yeah. No, that's true. And I feel like if you look at the way this bill was kind of passed,
Hmm.
it targets mainly the large exchanges.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will have an effect on decentralized, entities in the crypto space
Hmm.
because it just doesn't cover them. I
Hmm.
mean, it covers them, but not effectively.
Yeah.
So I think it will be very hard to actually target a DEX for needing to perform KYC
Yeah.
or
Good luck.
crime detection, like whitewashing or not whitewashing, money laundering,
Imagine
crime
KYC
detection.
to use Uniswap.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. It opposes also like the pseudonymous nature of a lot of cryptocurrencies.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, I think
Mm.
I think it's interesting,
Playing
but I think that
themselves.
it's exactly, and I think it's good that the larger firms that are like right now considered as brokers, such as Coinbase,
Hmm.
are actively speaking up and taking a position against these bills
Hmm.
rather than you know laying low and not taking a position because regulation then might be kinder.
Mm.
It just shoots the principle of crypto in the foot.
Right.
Yeah,
No, that makes.
but maybe on a lighter note than
Mm.
all this regulation talk,
We
the
still
Poly
bullish.
network was hacked. We are still,
Oh. L's all around.
but it was a white hat.
It was,
So
yeah.
so a white hat hacker, is a nice hacker. Is one of those guys who returns the funds and
Hacking for good.
yeah, hacking for the greater cause.
Yeah.
And yeah, it stated some news sources say it was like 250 million US dollars worth.
Yeah, that's
Some
what I
state that
read.
was $600 million worth, and that there's 400 million remaining in other wallet addresses that he's still returning. But so far, the person or persons I don't actually exactly know that hacked the Poly network. Yeah, they've returned a bunch of the hacked currency, or the exploit that they use. They've returned it to the
Poly network should be. I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna say that they should be grateful they received hacked money back, their hacked money back. But I mean, this is probably the best case scenario after being hacked, right? Like we've been talking about hacks and rug pulls and all kinds of things that have been happening on this not on this podcast, but we've talked about on the podcast. But loads of projects and DeFi projects and stuff have been hacked and gotten wrecked, and no one's returned the money. So this is sort of the best case scenario, right? They wrote a letter and the hacker gave them their money back. Oh my days.
Yeah,
that's crazy. 250 mil at least.
I feel like I mean, if you've read their tweet that they put out, so their letter, it's very short. It's like, oh, this is a international financial crime of such a large scale. They're basically like, complimenting the guy on how big of a heist he pulled off.
Just take
it's
the
very
L.
impressive. Yeah,
just gotta take the L. But this is a LDub situation in the middle. Yeah, they should just reward him for exposing their bugs or something. Like, we're talking with Vahe, our developer for the project we're working on, Anspar. Guys, check it out at Anspar Space on all everything. Gonna change the game very soon. But yeah, like he was, he wants us to basically, like, when we get into testing, he wants us to break our what code he's written, because he doesn't want problems like this in the future. Basically, we don't, and code is like, I think debugging, like, amongst developers and coders, like programmers or whatever, like debugging is apparently like one of the hardest things, finding out where are the weaknesses in this code, and people get paid the big bucks to figure out bugs and stuff like that, to audit code. And because of things like this, because it's not like, it's rarely the case does a hacker actually give the money back. So I mean,
no, absolutely. I think this was from the get-go a white hat hack, because just the sheer amount of capital that would need to untraceably be laundered and moved and like used, it would be such a large scale.
That's a one-man show. Like, damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
It's near impossible to unexplicably become a millionaire.
Yeah. How do you explain that? It's difficult.
How do you explain that to the tax office, to the government? It's very odd.
Yeah,
and then 600 million or 250 million even, it's an insane amount of money. You buy one house, everyone knows you're the guy who pulled it off.
But maybe
at least
now,
an accomplice.
Yeah, but maybe now that, like, these regulators aren't on top of it with crypto, it's probably like the easiest time to
maybe
make
it's
it
the
work,
easiest time,
right?
indeed.
You just say like, I 100x'd,
Yeah, I 100x some
what are they gonna do? Yeah, 100x. I bought an NFT and a million x'd. What are you gonna do? I bought a crypto punk.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, NFT space literally could million x. Honestly, it's kind of mad. NFT space,
and especially now, I think, indeed, what you're saying now, like all the regulation that's happening, targets the large players, like the institutional players. So like Coinbase, these kinds of larger companies. Very few target like the consumer, or like guarantee regulations. Like in the Netherlands, if your bank crashes, there's something called in Dutch is called garantieregeling Nederlandse banken, guarantee arrangement for Dutch banks. That is to say that if the bank fails, you get 150,000 euro, I believe, or maybe 125,000 euro.
Okay.
Back. from just as a guarantee, but that's consumer protection against like mismanagement of banks, etc., economic crises.
Pretty decent.
You don't have that in crypto,
No.
and that's for a good reason, because crypto can't, there's no institutional involvement in
Right.
crypto, so it's not like all of a sudden someone's going to short the housing market and crash the entire system.
Exactly.
That kind of mismanagement doesn't happen.
Mhm.
And it's your money, so it's not like, if your ledger crashes, sure,
Yeah.
that's where it ends, but then it's still on the blockchain and it's still accessible via other ways. But
Exactly.
if you look at the way that it's regulated now in crypto, so like consumers are just being oversighted, and these kind of white hat hacks on smaller scales, they can get away with it without any ramifications, because consumers just aren't protected.
Right.
And that's one of the current downsides, and I think it's the thing that should be focused on in crypto regulation,
But isn't.
isn't,
Yeah.
because that would make it much more of an efficient system, or at least much more accessible to the common person.
Right.
Just decent regulation and safety and security measurements that are in place and enforced, which they aren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a regulatory oversight that has been happening now.
No, we need to advocate for.
Yes, absolutely. And also, just like, the only thing that's getting focused on is money laundering, institutional involvement, securities regulation. That's it.
Yeah.
Consumer protection is definitely taking like the base, and we need some people to lobby for this, because this is where crypto mass adoption, I think it's one of the pillars that it will need to stand on.
Definitely. I mean, that's what. Yeah. That just shows how early we are.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of regulating. People
Definitely.
just wrapping their minds around it. How, and like still figuring it out. But infrastructure bill, not a good showing. What
No,
it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. On a very nice note, though, moving from the white hat hack that we've seen, Cardano now has smart contracts on its testnet, and if there are
Finally.
bullish words that I've read, those are definitely some of them.
Yeah.
Because they've been anticipated since the Merry Hard fork. They've been anticipated since their new testnet. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
This is great.
This is something that might launch Cardano to, unknown heights. This might be the stepping stone, like Ethereum had in like 2017 to really peak out. I think this is something that is so bullish for Cardano, more bullish than the things that are covered more heavily. I'm sure the Merry Hard fork was something that was covered much more intensely because Elon Musk made it in his bio for a while, and these kind of things. And he was saying like, Cardano is pegging the dollar. Okay, massive celebrity is posting about this, but this is much more fundamental to their ecosystem.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think it's incredibly bullish for Cardano, because this is, I mean, what are you doing on Cardano? Like, what are you doing on nothing, right? Smart contracts is what's going to enable anything to be done on Cardano. It's, it's the start of everything. Start of DeFi on Cardano. It's the start of NFTs on Cardano. It's the start of like anything that, so Cardano is just there waiting to explode essentially. But I think more and more from what I understand about crypto is like the importance of culture, the zeitgeist, and community. I'm curious and very interested to see how this develops for Cardano, because if there isn't the developers, the exploding developer community, which I'm sure there is, I'm sure there's developers, but this testnet and the smart contracts being enabled is going to allow that to flourish a bit more. I'm interested to see how people then whether people flock to use the the services that are then built on top of Cardano, and what kind of culture is built around that ecosystem essentially, because that's ultimately gonna be what makes or breaks Cardano, or what shapes how Cardano looks like in the long term. The people, the culture, and what's built on top of it. And this is just like one step in that direction.
No, absolutely. And like historically, Cardano is something that sprouted from the split between Ethereum Classic and Ethereum as we know it now, where the blockchain was split. And Cardano is specifically made to scale really well and really efficiently. So I think Cardano is a project that I've personally invested in. I am a big, bull
Disclaimer.
on Cardano.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer. Yeah, you have to say it. But I think it's a great project. I think it has so much opportunity. It just needs these smart contracts to be more accessible and to have more value created on it than simply transactions. And I couldn't say
For sure.
Yeah, I couldn't say anything negative about Cardano. That's for sure. I think it's a young Ethereum.
It's definitely, and it's in its early stages.
Yeah.
I hear different things about their developer community, but I'm not like actively in Cardano Twitter or whatever. So
No.
we'll just see how it develops. I think it has like a long way to go, but this definitely bullish.
Yeah. No, definitely
bullish.
Very bullish. And we've been talking about Cardano for a while now.
Exactly. It's about time. Smart contracts came around.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I don't think people understand how much opportunity this testnet, at least the testnet, has in store for Cardano. So yeah, and also take into account it's a testnet that's being launched, so that means the mainnet is still far away from being in use, or like the smart contracts are far away from the mainnet. And a lot of people tend to buy the testnet and sell the mainnet. So it's something to take into account when you're looking into investing into something like Cardano. A lot of people buy the testnet, sell the mainnet.
Yeah, that's a classic investment strategy. But if you're bullish on it long term, you're bullish on Cardano being a young ETH. Yeah, these little short-term investment strategies just, I guess, don't bother you. What does it matter? You stake that AIDA and wait.
It has so much long-term potential, I think.
Exactly. So, there's good APY you can get on AIDA. I mean, even on Binance. But you can probably find better places than Binance.
You find a good validator pool. You're basically set for some decent passive income if you have sufficient Cardano.
Yeah, you need that Cardano though. But it's a buck. It's like a buck something. So like
it's not bad.
It's not bad, if you're bullish on Cardano.
No.
Not investment advice.
Not investment advice, but life advice.
Yes, that's allowed.
That's allowed, right? Yeah. But with all that said, I think that was it for this week's episode of the Block Exploring podcast. For more, follow us on Twitter at Block Exploring, at Sabai Squared, at Otoko Crypto, and we will see you in the next episode of the Block Exploring podcast.
So take it easy.
Take it easy.